Christmas Eve, 1992. There's Ron and me and Matt.
Where are your thoughts?
Out there somewhere.
There's Cheryl and Rob at the piano.
Mom, Dad's filming. You're gonna come in.
There's Judy sitting in the chair. There's Gina and
We
Brendan.
hate it when you narrate.
This is the back of Janet's head. And this is Virginia. How about a close-up? Oh, that looks great.
Pumpkin pies are done.
You know what I did with them? I forgot to turn the oven down. Just to turn it down for the first 15 minutes. It's good because it was in the crusher getting brown because out there it had been brown. So I left it at 4:15. It's supposed to be turned down to 3.
What?
That's bad. The oven when I baked the pumpkin.
What?
Mom was trying to be funny.
Mark it on the
I
calendar.
offered her a kiss.
Oh.
I thought her lips were too dry. I know what I read.
Not too well.
You know, you not going to kiss?
There's a dog down there.
Where's the boy? Spray went to my
Go ahead
kid.
and start and have time to trickle in.
Don't run away.
It's not all there.
I got a whole bunch of
Oh,
them.
I thought you were going to do the
Man, I have to sit.
Santa got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
It's in the book.
How about Santa Claus is coming tonight?
It's in one book. It's in the book.
How about Oh Come All You Faithful?
Okay.
Yeah, start the picture. Go for it.
I don't know. Do you guys want me to play along or not?
Yeah.
There you go.
Come ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Come let us adore him. Oh come let us adore him. Oh come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Sing choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Oh, sing all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, glory in the highest. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee for this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be all glory. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Sound like it's good.
Do you have any words that we can follow along with?
Call us
This
a
book are
bouncing
totally
rock.
different.
I asked for overhead, but it's too late.
Brandon, you just gotta close your eyes and sing with the spirit.
Everyone else is.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all
Yeah, it's in there.
That's sick.
Killed.
And your dad wants to think all about it, trying to put it on the piano. He was hoping. I know he was hoping.
The first Noel.
Get out of my chair, boy. Found away in a manger.
Is it in there?
Yes, we know that
I mean, is it in here?
It's here.
I
They know
it's
all
in
the
there.
verses.
How about we do?
Jingle bells in there, this one's better than the other.
Ooh, then we could do Jingle Bell Rock.
We'll have to do that one a cappella.
I haven't seen it here.
It's not in the screen.
The stars in the sky.
care and kids us forever to live with me.
What? Come here.
What?
I cried in the kitchen says,
What?
I'm doing a horrible thing.
Oh no.
4 minutes.
Well, they're already gone, isn't it? Oh, here.
I couldn't get it to go back to 0. It just went to 9 million and I couldn't make it stop.
Okay, hold on.
266.
This is just a long introduction.
I thought it was called practice. Well, four verses.
What church pianist do you know practice
What doctor do you know that's got a string? They're all practicing.
Get out of my chair.
So clear, that glorious song of
Get out of my chair.
from angels bending near the earth to touch their hearts of gold. It's of the earth who will to them from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the golden skies they come with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lonely place, they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babbled songs the blessed angels sing. Yet with the woes of sin and strife, the world has suffered long. Beneath the angels' train have rolled 2,000 years of wrong, and men and war with men give up the loss on which they bring. Oh, hush the noisy men of strife, and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on by prophecy of old, when with the ever-circling years shall come the time foretold, when the whole earth and them shall hold the Prince of Peace their King, and the whole world send back the song which now the angels sing.
Are you at my house then? Oh, how fun. I wondered where you were. Because I was going to try and call you later. Yes, I'm talking to Shane.
Angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch a keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him home, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Is that old book you're playing with?
Oh, it's got different verses than I
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Xerox machine out in the garage. It doesn't work. No, we don't have one out there.
You got an old VCR I heard out there too, it doesn't work.
Yeah, can you fix it?
No. There's only one thing to do with an old VCR.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what radio check did.
Ours was rubber band.
After they tried to fix it.
That was
Like,
it too heavy. They couldn't fix it at all.
Oh,
No, this is
Yeah.
how
it was too bad.
they said,
Not worth fixing. Can we usually? It's the same. You guys got four. Go ahead.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare Him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ. What wheels and floods, what sails and wings, repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. No more does sin and sorrows grow, nor thorns invest the crown. He comes to make His blessings flow, for as the curse is bound, for as the curse is bound, for as the curse is bound. He rules the world with truth and grace, and leads the nations through. The glories of His righteousness, and wonders of His love, and wonders of His love, and wonders of His love.
Always go to. Gee, where we at? Oh, there it is. Is that where it is?
Are there any more?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you have the patience for me to read you a story?
Yes.
How long is it?
Well, there's really two stories, and they're pretty both short.
Well, why don't you
I'll read one,
now,
and then
I'll read one later.
I must read you these stories.
Where's the fire?
you could sit there reading at the fire in the fire.
You can't come
We get a
down.
fire.
What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Christmas story.
Okay, it's not really Christmas stories, but it's about God.
Amen.
This book belongs to our family. It was given to us by a friend of mine, and he told me to bring it home to you.
What's the name of the book?
The book is called
That
Tell
was
This
so.
Story.
Uncle Max.
Now, Craig, you got to stay for the
No, I'm putting this
Okay, put
away.
them up, and then we'll wait for the story. Now, a beautiful picture. This one is the first one. It's called In the Beginning. I'm going to read the first two stories. Because one's about God, and one is about Jesus.
So coincidence.
So you just happen to have that book with you.
Well, I just happened because it's a Christmas present to you.
Oh.
It's a Merry Christmas 1992 to the Meyer family from Bob Strader and his family. We love you all. I pray that these stories bless you and that God will fill this coming year with peace and joy. And he and his little boy that I tutor read me this story and the next one, and so I need to read this to you. And they're reading theirs in Colorado with their whole family. They're going to read through the whole book. But this is y'all's book.
Well, where's Jude?
Well, she's on the phone and she'll probably be there for a while, and you guys don't get tired.
Craig, don't pick that up like that.
It won't come
Because
off.
the top may come off and will fall on the glass and break it.
Something fall on.
Okay, Mother. You gotta stay calm. Okay, Dad, turn off this light. It'll cool us down a little bit.
Now turn off those Christmas lights in that light too.
Calm on down a little bit. You saw the picture. Yeah. Okay. The father was dreaming. I could see it in his eyes, the sparkle. He was there again. What is it you see, my king? He didn't turn, but kept his gaze fixed on the great emptiness, the massive, boundless, unending space. The more he looked, the more his eyes would dance. I knew he saw something. I looked in the same direction. I leaned forward and stared intently. All I saw was emptiness. All I ever saw was emptiness. I hadn't seen the sphere that he had pulled out of the sky. Where was that? I asked as he began molding it in his hands. It was there, he replied, looking outward. I looked and saw nothing. When I turned, he was smiling. He knew a seraph's vision was too limited. The same thing happened with the water. Where did this come from? I asked, touching the strange substance. I saw it, Michael. He chuckled as he filled an ocean from his palm. And when I saw it, I made it. I saw it near the stars. The what? The stars. Out into the void he reached. When he pulled back his hand, he kept it closed as if to entice me to lean forward. I did. And just as my face was near, he opened his hand. A burst of light escaped, and I looked up just in time to see it illuminate his face, too. Once again, he was smiling. Watch how they sparkle, he reveled. And with a flip of his wrist, the palmful of diamonds soared into the blackness until they found their destiny. And there they hung. Won't the children love them? The maker said as together we watched the twinkling begin. I still wasn't sure what or who these children were, but I knew they occupied a place in the dream like nothing else. Ever since the dream started, the Father spoke often of these children, what they would like, how they would respond. I remember once, the Father held the sphere in one hand and motioned to me with the other. Come, see what the children will see. He then put his fingers to his lips and blew gently. Off his fingertips floated tiny whiffs of white cotton balls of fluff. What do they do? I asked as the train of puffs sailed toward the globe. Oh, Michael, he boomed with excitement. They do everything. They give shade. They give rain. But most of all, my children can watch them pass, and if they look closely, they will see me. That was the way he thought about everything. All the dream was for the children, and in all the dream was the Father. With the waterfall, he said, I made it small so they could run in and out. With the dandelion, this is just the right size for the children to blow. And in the rivers in the canyon, they can sit right here and watch the water race into the valley. But where are the children? I once asked, looking into the same space from whence had come the rest of the dream. Oh, not out there, responded the artist. There was urgency in his voice as he repeated, not out there. But that is all the Father said, and that's all I asked. With the coming of the creatures, I almost forgot. We laughed so much as he made them. Each one was special. The tiny wing for the mosquito, the honk so unlike any other sound for the goose, the shell for the turtle, the darting eyes of the owl. He even let me decorate a few. I put a violet in the butterfly wings, and he loved my idea to stretch out the elephant's nose. What fun it was as the heavens gave birth to fowl and fish, reptile and rodent. No more had the little ones scurried off his palm than the giant ones appeared. He grabbed the giraffe and stretched its neck, and he put a hole in the whale's head so it will come to the surface to breathe and the children will see it. What will we call them all? I asked. I'll leave that up to the children. The children. I'd almost forgotten, but he hadn't. As the last winged creature left his fingers, he turned and looked at me, and I knew. It's time? Yes, it's time. I expected to see his eyes dance again, but they didn't. I anticipated eagerness, but he didn't begin. For a long period, he sat looking out into the void, longer than normal. Do you see the children? No, they are not to be found out there. Then what do you see? I see their deeds. He spoke softly. The joy was gone from his voice. What? What is it? What is it that you see? Perhaps it was because he thought I needed to know. Or maybe it was because he needed someone else to know. I'm not sure why, but he did what he had never done. He let me see. As if the sky were a curtain, he took it and pulled it back. Before I could see it, I could smell it. The stench stung my eyes. It's greed you smell, he explained, a love for foolish, empty things. I started to turn away, but my king didn't, so I didn't. I looked again. It was so dark, a darkness unlike the starless sky, a blackness unlike the void. This darkness moved. It crept. It shadowed and swayed. It was a living soot. He knew my thoughts. He spoke. His words were slow and spaced. They will put it out. What? They will destroy that which makes them mine. It was then I saw it for the first time. He reached into himself, deep into his own self, and pulled it out. A flame, a shining circle. It glowed brilliantly in his palm, much brighter than the constellations he had spread about or the sun he ignited. This is, I began, this is a part of me. He finished and added what I couldn't have imagined. And out of me, I will make my children. For the first time, I saw why the children were so treasured. I saw the uniqueness in them. They bore his light. The universe he created, the children he fathered. But the darkness, I had to ask, why? Just as I chose, so they must choose, else they won't be mine. Just then his face lifted, his eyes bright. But they won't all forget me. Look, into tomorrow I gazed. At first I saw nothing, just swarthy darkness billowing. But then, as I searched, I saw, first, only one, then a cluster, then more. Lights they were, flickers of candles, weakened but not lost in the blackness. Like the stars he had cast against the black heavens, these flames flickered in a sable sea. It's my children. There was pride in his voice. My children remember. The look on his face I cannot forget. His eyes had sparkled when he suspended the planets in space. His cheeks had danced as he heard the cat purr. I had seen his face alive before, but not like now. For at this moment, when he saw his children a light in the darkness, when he saw those who were his seeking him, he celebrated. His countenance exploded with joy. His head flew back and laughter shook the stars. My children, my children, my children, were his only words. And then he paused, wiped the tears from his face, and pledged a promise for all of heaven to hear. You haven't forgotten me. I won't forget you. Then he turned to me. To the work, Michael. We have much to do. We must make the dream come true. And I thought making the animals was a delight. No two will be alike, he vowed as he began to reach into himself for balls of light. Some big, some small, some timid, some bold, some with big ears, some with little. And off his palm they came, generation chosen, destination determined, each with a different thread of character or shape of body, but each with a bit of him, a light within. And he even let me help. Look what I made, Father, I told him. I call them freckles. Let me show you how they work. And he smiled. And that's the end of the first story.
Good. Well, I have a question.
What?
Was that kid a crocodile?
What?
Because crocodiles would stretch the elephant's neck.
Isn't that a great story? I just love it. You what?
But that's who stretched the elephant's nose.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
That's what
Okay.
Frederick Kipling said.
I didn't read that story. What is it?
The elephant's child.
Oh.
Yeah. Everyone said that.
I don't know if that's it.
Whoops. It did fall.
See, I was right.
It
You didn't miss the
Hang in
glass.
there, Mom.
Just don't break that glass. Well, that was a good story.
Can we turn on the light?
Oh, why do you need the light? What are you going to see? Christmas song? In the flaming winter.
Oh, like salty shit.
Where?
Say the word.
Jen got it to go back to 0 and it's got the time showing now. All the funny things.
After we sing some of these times, can we lighten up and sing some of the fun songs?
Well, you can't lighten up till I read you another story.
Later on, I'm gonna sing like Jingle Bells and some of those songs.
All those heathen songs.
Right here.
Slide down.
Oh, yeah, if you start singing those kind, then he'll be ready when he goes. Okay.
They're just drizzled up.
I was just thinking, hey, if we stay another 2 hours, it's Christmas, you know.
I almost got what you're saying.
Okay. Mother, where are you? Mother?
Hello, Bullcat.
Hi,
Hello, Kate.
Kitty. Cal, Craig, come in here.
My way to hide.
I was cleaning up my mess. Hello,
You
Bullcat.
made a mess?
Isn't that, you took my
You
chair.
don't see the dog.
Hey, let me see the beach since Kel took my chair.
Oh.
Yeah, but... Man. Well...
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read one more story, then we'll go and sing, heathen songs.
Heathen songs.
You just sing Christmas songs. There's all heathen songs. You didn't have to get up.
Oh, yes, I
First
do.
one, I didn't read you the scripture before it because I really want you to just kind of have free brain, not be thinking. But the scripture before it, the story was called In the Beginning, and the scripture was Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the second one, this book kind of takes you through God and the life of Jesus. But the second one is called The Fall, and the scripture with it is Genesis 2:17. It says, "You may eat from the fruit of any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the fruit of the tree which gives the knowledge of good and evil. If you ever eat the fruit from that tree, you will die." And this is the one that introduces the idea of Jesus coming into the world, but it does it in a really different way. So be patient and kind of listen. Cal, you with me?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because, you're kind of easily distracted, and this is one of my favorite stories. Okay. Long ago, in a land far away, and unlike any you've ever seen, there lived a wise man named Shaddai. Shaddai was a large man with a tender heart. He had bright blue eyes and a long, thick beard. When he laughed, which is something he did often, his cheeks would lift until his eyes became half moons of joy. When he sang, which is something else he did often, everything stopped to listen. Tall aspens would bend, squirrels, butterflies, and birds would pause. Even the children would turn when they heard his voice, and well they should. It was for them he sang. And for them he built a wonderful village. It was more than any child could dream. The children plunged into the pond fed by the underwater spring. They shrieked as they soared high on long swings under thick-branched apple trees. They scampered through the grass-carpeted meadows and fruit-filled orchards. The sun never seemed to set too early, and the night skies always soothed. And most of all, Shaddai was always near. When Shaddai wasn't in the meadow with the children or in the orchard with the children, he was in the workshop with the children. They loved to smell the sawdust. hear him sing, and watch him carve a chair out of a log or make a table out of a tree. They would gather around him and take turns laying their tiny hands right against his huge one. Every night he would gather the children on the grassy meadow and tell them stories. Spellbound, the children would listen as long as Shaddai or their weary eyes allowed. The children loved Shaddai, and Shaddai loved the children. When they called his name, he dropped whatever he was doing and turned. His giant heart had 100 strings, each held by a different child. And that's why he built the wall. The wall was a stone fence surrounding the village. With great care, Shaddai had laid each rock upon the other. The base of the fence was wider than two of his strides. The wall rose above Shaddai, even with his hands stretched skyward. He spent days building the fence, and as he built, he did not sing. A deadly wilderness lay outside the village. As Shaddai built the fence, he would often pause and look into its shadows. Cruel thorns and savage beasts and hidden pits filled the dark forest. There was no place for children with soft skin. Certain death awaited anyone who would enter. Beyond the wall is no life, he would tell the children in solemn tones. You were made for my village, not for the terrible land beyond. Stay with me. It's safe here. But in his heart, he knew it was only a matter of time. The day he placed the final stone on the wall, he returned to his shop, took a long aspen branch and carved a staff, and stood it in the corner. He would be ready. One day, a boy ran into Shaddai's workshop. The sandy-haired child with searching eyes and restless energy brought the maker both joy and concern. Shaddai! In one motion, the builder dropped his hammer and turned. What is it, Paladin? The boy spoke in spurts as he gasped for air. The wall! I found an opening. It's a large one, sire. The boy's hand stretched to show the size. Someone could crawl through it. Shaddai pulled over a stool and sat down. I knew it would be you, Paladin, my child. Tell me, how did you find it? I was walking along the wall and searching for holes. Paladin paused, surprised that Shaddai knew. Yes, I was looking for holes, so you could see out into the forest. I was curious, Shaddai. I wanted to know what is so bad out there that you won't let us go. Shaddai mentioned for the boy to come. When he got close, the maker cupped the small face in his hands and lifted it so the boy would look directly in his eyes. The urgency of the look caused Paladin's stomach to feel hollow. Paladin, listen to me. The regions beyond are not for you. They are not for me. The journey into the wilderness will bring death. You were not made for those lands. Let your feet carry you to the many places you can go, not to the one place you can't. If you leave here, you will not find the way back. Paladin spoke softly. You will fix the hole then? No, Paladin. I created it. You broke the wall, but you just said you didn't want us to leave. I don't want you to leave. But I left the opening when I built the wall. But unless you fix it, the children might leave. I know, Paladin. But as long as the children have to stay, they aren't really here. Paladin didn't understand, but he didn't want to ask any more questions. Uncomfortable, he turned to leave. As he entered the sunlight, he looked back into the shop. There sat Shaddai, leaning forward, still looking at Paladin. Paladin was confused. Part of him wanted the safety of Shaddai's shop, while another part drew him toward the fence. He looked again into the shop. Shaddai was standing now, not moving, but standing. His large hand stretched out to the boy. Paladin turned quickly away as if not to see. He walked as fast as he could, aimlessly at first, then purposely toward the fence. I won't get too near, he said. I'll just peek out. Questions came as quickly as his steps. What is this pull I feel? This curiosity? Why would Shaddai tell me to deny an urge I feel so strongly? Is it desire to see the beyond, the fence so wrong? By now he was at the hole. Without stopping to think, he lay on his stomach and squirmed through just far enough to stick his head out to the other side. Why would a journey there bring death? Paladin asked himself as he peered at the forbidden forest. What is it that Shaddai is protecting me from, or keeping me from? As if his knees were moving on their own, Paladin crept further. Soon his body was through the hole, and he rose slowly to his feet. For several moments he didn't move. He wondered if something would come out of the trees to hurt him. Nothing did. He relaxed his shoulders and sighed. It's not so bad, he spoke aloud to break the silence. It's nice out here. What should I worry about? Paladin began walking into the forest. Twigs snapped beneath his bare feet. Sweet flowers scented the air. The trees were so thick he could barely see the sky. Just a few steps into the woods, he spoke aloud, though no one could hear, to see what it's like. After a dozen more steps, he stopped. He liked the wilderness. Nothing to fear here. For the first time in his young life, he believed that Shaddai was wrong. Just wait till I tell the others. And he turned to go back through the hole. But the hole was gone. He stopped and stared. He saw only solid wall. Paladin ran to the fence and stopped at the very spot where he'd come through. He knew this was the place, but there was no hole, no sign there had ever been one. He ran a dozen steps one way and then a dozen steps the other. Nothing. Suddenly he heard a strange sound in the woods behind him. He swung around, but he saw nothing. Paladin looked into the forest. Now it no longer seemed friendly. It was dark and threatening, as if it were about to devour him. Desperately, Paladin searched for the fence. It was too tall to climb over, too thick to break through. There was no way home. If you leave here, you will not find a way back. Shaddai's words rang in his mind. The boy's eyes were wide with fear. He sat on the ground and hugged his knees to his chest and began to cry. Shaddai, Shaddai, I'm so sorry. Please come help me. Paladin's plea had been heard before he spoke it. For as he left Shaddai's workshop, the maker had watched him as long as he could. When the boy was out of sight, Shaddai turned, not to take up his work, but to remove his apron. He hung his tools on the wall. Then he reached into the corner and took the staff, the one he carved after he finished the fence. Even before Paladin had reached the fence, Shaddai had left the shop. Even before Paladin had asked for help, Shaddai was on the way to give it. Even before the hole in the fence had closed, Shaddai had opened another. His strong hands pulled away the rocks until he could see into the forest. With his staff at his side, Shaddai crawled through the hole. He left the village he'd made and entered the land for which he wasn't made, and set out in search of his child.
Go take my seat.
Sorry, Jude, you have to read it at me. What is it?
So y'all want to do Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer?
Oh, it's right here.
Mother, just so you know, this is a message from your book that was from the author of the book. You need to read it because it's specially made for parents of children. This is in the children's book, but it's great.
Oh, I thought it was an animal.
And Max wrote you a note.
Yeah, Max wrote us all a note.
How sweet.
Uncle Max wrote us a note with our book.
Well, what?
Can we open presents yet?
Shane said to be sure to tell everybody Merry Christmas.
We'll call him back and tell him we said Merry Christmas.
Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile, and on every street.
We'll let Dad do this one.
Stop eating candy up there, you'll get fat.
I saw Mommy's kissing Santa Claus.
That's what
I don't even know that song.
You can sing the reindeer song.
See, I also.
What? Oh.
That's different. I get weird sound like, sounds like a real piano when she's playing it. She must have practiced better than I did.
Oh, I've just played for about
30 years.
yeah.
In other words, all your life.
How about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? That's the first one.
Okay.
Start
All ready?
picking on
Start
the
naming the
guitar.
reindeer. Including Olive.
Mixer. I know you have one. Hand mixer? Right there in that drawer. Where? Right in that top drawer. Right where it was in the other room. That's right. My knives are. Where's my knives? It's brother of Rudolph.
Well, are you guys ready?
I have to get it resized. This is the family. We're all eating.
Michael, what is that song?
That's okay.
Yeah, we don't have to work.
Craig, you need to come over and help me.
Yeah, come on.
You need to help me lead this song.
She knows the song.
I don't know either.
So I was beating her
You
in my
can
life.
bring the beats over here.
I have no idea. Darla explained to me, Darla, the expert on rings. No, I'm serious.
I've lived with two of them.
Well, she said that the way to explain to her, it's supposed to be hard to get over your neck. That's how she explained it. I think you're supposed to. You're not European. You're American. You're not even
Okay, let's all get around the time here.
It doesn't go to the fingers, Mom.
It goes elsewhere first.
Claws marks on her back.
Over by a reindeer, coming home from our house Christmas Eve. Biggest Santa, but as the rain bring 'em home to leave. Now we're all so proud of Grandpa.
Isn't this the silliest thing you've ever
It's so
seen?
well.
13 grown-up people singing silly songs.
Drinking beer and playing
They don't realize that
cards
their
and
hind quarters are what we're seeing on this video.
On the table, and the pudding's made of pink. You picked the wrong house. That was just to match the hair in Grandma's wig. I warn our friends and neighbors, better watch out for yourselves. They should never give a license to a man who draws a sleigh and plays with bells. And I got run over by a reindeer, walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandma, we believe. Mom, someone got wrong word in there.
Here comes Santa Claus, Santa Claus lane.
Well, you guys don't ever go to bed, Santa Claus can't come.
Well, you will let us go, but you still have to stay up here until the I'm sitting on the airline anyway. And here, you can
That's
take
too high to say.
Kind of high.
I can't transpose on site.
Who wants to hold the cat? I nominate me.
Okay, we got another one. Christmas favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And one horse over his leg.
One horse on the sleigh,
All our friends we go, walking all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. It's time to get to find some isolation to go. Jingle bell, jingle all the way. All the fun is right along the jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell.
Kitty.
Not enough Alexis.
This isn't a duet.
Sounded good.
Watch out, there's a dog below you.
Okay, break time. We just used it for a long time. Everybody say good morning.
Bad
Merry Christmas.
We'll be opening presents in about 2.5 hours.
This is December 24th, 25th. Let's put it on the right time here.
Oh, how cute! A cookie monster. That's so cute.
I didn't get one of those.
December 25th, 1992.
Yeah, you did, Brennan. It's just somewhere.
It's
where-
hiding.
Oh, I got
We need to take care of that.
2 of these.
He probably
But I wish you wouldn't videotape.
Rob, I got
In
yours.
the morning.
And I got Jean's.
What?
How come you got 2?
I don't know. Who didn't get one?
Well, that means somebody does have yours.
There were some extras. I just threw them all in.
Just threw them all.
Here, dude.
Morning, dude.
You look very pretty, man, here.
Ow!
Okay, we're getting cameo shots here for Christmas Day.
Which is now over.
Stuff this thing.
Smelly old stuff.
Candy. That's
I know.
Yeah.
We're dropping candy on the floor here.
Yep, I'm trying.
He's doing his best.
What are you trying to do, Dad? I'll get it all back in.
Yeah. Hey, stop. What's the problem with this here thing, Dr.
Oh, it's pretty.
Smile and say, we live in Washington.
It's a much better place. It's God's country.
Your stroke's gonna
It's,
be
and it's right
obstructed.
over the top of the flash, Matt.
You're blocking
And,
them.
no, it's not gonna work.
Can you tie it to one of his pieces of hair that dangles down from his face?
Michael
You can
Jackson
hang it
curl,
to the
that'd be
screw
okay.
on the wall. You got that screw on that wall, but you want to hang it on something.
Yeah, I like him.
Yes, I like it. What's so odd about my face?
Boys, come on!
Yeah, I'd marry her all over again, look.
You bet. Think of the time, about 6 hours after you said I do, and you guys finally got to lay down and said, oh, it's all over and behind
6
us.
hours?
8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it was, yeah. After you said I do, you got off from your Never
We
Never
married
Land
to.
and laying down and said, oh,
It was.
finally, over.
It was about
And you look at each other and say,
11 hours.
oh no, what do I do now?
No, we never
Sleep.
said
Oh.
That was actually what's for breakfast.
Brandon.
Have you guys been hungry?
Brendan.
Go, go. Jane and Brendan.
Hey, what do I got to do? I got something dorky
Happen
hanging
at
on
me.
me. Yeah, that's
Do we have one, Cal?
She's got a nice look on her face.
Cal's not gonna do that.
That's a goofy one right there.
Thanks.
Mom doesn't know what Brendan looks like.
No, she's
Now
rubbing the
look
back
that
of your head. No.
Yeah.
I gotta look at you somewhere. Where are you at?
I want chocolate on our feet, Matt.
Where are you going?
I'm just wondering if the glasses. Let's put the shade on. One more time. One more time.
One more time. One more time. Here.
Let's try on these and with the her sitting on the bench. Okay. No, just go ahead and sit down.
No, it's okay.
And I'll adjust him accordingly. Cut your legs off. Okay.
Slouch accordingly.
Yeah, I do. That's good. I like that. That's good clothes.
There's some glasses.
Okay, hands are fine, fine. Take your hand out of the pocket. Can't put on a real shoulder. That's good. Kitty cat wampus.
Tilt your head.
That one around top. Stupid.
Oh, baby.
There you go.
That's my camera.
Yes. Good. Okay. Good. No, no. Try to see how Jenny looks like sitting down.
She look way down there.
She'll
I'm
probably
afraid
be-
that needs to be way up there.
That's true. That's no good.
See, he's out of, yeah.
We'll try to-
I can get down like
That's
this.
good. That's good.
Okay, now take it fast with me.
What about
I'm gonna try to do-
looking in the eyes? Turn around.
Get
Your
me, get
knees
me.
around or something.
Get you.
That's sweet.
Remarriage?
Ain't that sweet?
Well, after 6 kids, don't you
Hey,
think it's
Mom.
time for me to marry?
I like the old wig better.
Well, wait, well, let me-
Yes.
Well, that's way good.
You look like Miss Long, you said.
Craig.
I'm not kidding.
This way.
Yeah,
Well,
old.
Craig, I don't think anybody asked.
Well, I did.
Okay.
The shadows down.
My, oh my, 5 good-looking babes.
Where?
Ooh.
I don't know about you, dude.
Oh, wow. Looking at that flash.
No big eyes.
I can't see a thing. Okay.
I like it.
That works.
Another one I was.
Yeah, take another one. We were all making weird faces.
How you get 36 in here?
Look at 24. It'll take a half a picture probably.
Okay.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Kel, go get Craig. We need him back for one more.
You doing it? All right. Y'all look silly and stupid. Ridiculous.
Craig!
Whoa,
Double
that's gonna be double overexposed almost.
Why?
Because
2
flashes
flashes.
went.
Who's that good looking chick sitting down over there?
You only need 150 seconds.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
can't see
Okay,
that fast.
split, girls. Boys. Okay, stand up here one more time.
Oh.
You stand for a little bit. And I'll
Yeah, she
stand back
was.
like that.
Is it party time yet?
You gotta get one with Kelly sitting
Smile
down.
one more time.
Lots of shadows. Lots of shadows.
You should let Kelly sit in the chair.
Kelly! Oh, no.
Or
Hold
let
on.
Janet sit in the chair.
No, just sit up straight. We're fine.
Yeah,
Look
I
at
misread
Cookie and
it.
smile.
It said
Whoa. Ow.
Come on.
The temperature?
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't
Okay, go.
read it 36.
Okay, who's not taking? We need one is.
Look. You like that picture?
See how hard this one is.
Right now, he's babysitter.
Well, that's the best kind.
He's off on leave for a month.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So you really get acquainted
And
with your daddy
soon.
for a while.
And soon, though.
He's off in Puerto Rico for 6 months.
Right after they got married?
Not long after they got married, he shipped
Oh,
out.
that stinks.
Yeah.
Toast. Me. Coward. Defense. Over a couple of months, I be can.
Because we got this box that I'm getting stuff put in. I want to know if you want me to pack.
Okay, the negatives are in here so we can get some.
Me and my light bulb.
Is there any?
That's one of the 2 that's screwed up.
This is a good one of you and your sister.
Are these ours?
Seattle.
From Pennsylvania?
No.
No, from Seattle.
Wait,
I think we'd probably take a little longer than that.
Oh, he's a big guy.
So you got a cousin in DC?
Now this jacket on the couch I'm longer, right?
I don't have a jean jacket yet.
Kelly's.
You're gonna be sick.
Inside out. Yeah.
What thought I got rid of?
Proud of us betting on one side.
Okay.
I got bent and twisted and twisted that shape.
What about fair trade, right?
True. Good. Dear, your chariot awaits.
Your back seat.
No, you don't. I can't sit back here. You know that. There's not enough room in that seat.
All right, Mom.
I'll probably be out to see you guys next
Well,
time.
we got the tape.
Right, I
That
did see the tape.
situation is, you never know. I'll do my next week, who knows? Sound like a word.